So I wanted to talk today about what it is that I've learned about leadership, both from my own leadership experiences and my observations of the many leaders whom I've had the honor of working with. Now, if you go into your average bookstore, there's no small number of books on what it takes to be a leader. You need knowledge, strategy, determination, experience, the list goes on. But there's more to it than just that. So what follows is a list of what I believe to be the most consistent traits and the best leaders that I know. Number one, to treat others with compassion. So I don't know how many of you have seen the movie The Prince of Egypt, but it's a quality film and I highly suggest it. But there's one part of the film in which a side character is explaining to the main character that you can't see the value or worth of a human being by just looking just at them. You have to view them as part of a whole, a group, an organization. Sort of along the same lines of the idea, if you look too closely at a single tree, you can't see the forest. Well, there's one set of lyrics that really explains his point, and he says, "And the stone that sits on the very top of the mountain's mighty face, does it think it's more important than the stones that form the base?" So each and every person in an organization plays an important role, and the best leaders acknowledge with delight the part that each person plays. They're patient, helpful, and make every person around them feel important, and there's a reason why this works. So for the last 2 summers, I've had the honor of working as the assistant to the executive director of the Foundation for Post-Conflict Development. It's a mouthful. And my boss, the executive director, her name is Claudia, and she's one of the more wonderful people that I know. And she responded with such delight with everything I did. It didn't matter the scale of the project I was working on, from large-scale project implementation to re-alphabetizing her filing cabinet. She was so ecstatic. She was gracious. She was grateful and appreciative and complimentary, and she made me feel like no one could have done the job that I had done better than the way that I had done it. So there's an actual term for this. It's called the Pygmalion or the Rosenthal effect, and it's just the idea that when you put expectations upon somebody, you treat them as if they are the innovative, creative, hardworking, talented, intelligent person you want them to be. They have a tendency to rise to that expectation because they want to prove you right. I wanted to prove my boss right, so I put so much effort into every project I did for her because I felt like she deserved it. So the best leaders know and understand this concept, and they treat those around them with an appropriate amount of trust and appreciation. Number 2, cultivate positive relationships. So when I say this, I don't mean to cultivate relationships with people that you think might be able to help you. I mean to cultivate positive relationships with everyone. So there's 2 main ways you can do this, through networking and finding a mentor. So I have a story that exemplifies the power of networking. When I was 16, my mother was walking outside of a grocery store, and she passed a homeless woman that was sitting outside, and she was just going to keep on walking, but instead she stopped and started speaking to this woman and asked her, "What is it that you're interested in? How can I help you?" etc. And she found out that this woman used to work at a yoga studio. So my mother's kind of a health nut. She's into holistic healing, alternative healing, things like that. And she ended up going to this yoga studio and having such an amazing conversation with the owner that she got a job. She was hired. And while she was working there, she had one client come in named Jeff, and he's a very successful businessman. And she was talking about her children, my brother and I, and he said, "I'm looking for some young people to mentor. I would love to meet your kids." So I met Jeff when I was 16. He's been my mentor ever since. And he's helped me with everything from SATs, college applications, job applications, cover letters, resumes, what to wear in an interview, everything in between. And he met Claudia, the foundation executive director, at a networking event, introduced me to her at a breakfast. She hired me twice. I moved to New York City twice. She brought me to East Timor with her, where I happened to be sitting next to the president of the country, who's also a Nobel laureate, who ended up writing me a letter of recommendation for a scholarship. If that doesn't prove the power of networking, because my mother spoke to a homeless woman outside of a grocery store when I was 16, I don't know what does. The second way is by finding a mentor. So effective leadership means constantly trying to expand, doing what you do, but doing it better, faster, smarter. And this begins with the realization that you can't do it alone, and that there are people out there who are more knowledgeable in the subject than you are, and that they can help you. So I've already spoken briefly about 2 of my most supportive mentors, Jeff and Claudia, and not only have I had the opportunity to observe them in their own leadership, But because of my interactions with them, I've had an opportunity to cultivate leadership in myself. Through my work with the foundation and through my work with Jeff, I've been given numerous speaking opportunities. I got to speak at a UN youth panel, conferences where I got to present, things like that. For my sophomore year honors project, I wasn't sure what to do, and my boss, Claudia, suggested that I do a benefit dinner, just a fundraiser, but I decided the benefit dinner. So I decided, sort of naively, that I was going to single-handedly plan, cater, host, organize, everything, a benefit dinner party in a castle. And when I decided to do this, I was like, this can't be that hard, it'll be fine. I was wrong. It was really, really difficult, one of the most difficult things I've ever done. But it went really well, and it's something that I look back on with pride, and it's something that an opportunity that I had to cultivate leadership in myself, but also to learn things that I was good at and learn things that I wasn't so good at. But this is an opportunity I wouldn't have had if Claudia hadn't suggested it. Number 3, rejoice in the miseries. When I say this, I do not mean schadenfreude. Do not laugh at someone's funeral or find joy in someone else's pain. This is not what I mean. That would be horrible advice. What I do mean by this is to find joy in situations where others wouldn't. So 2 weekends ago, I drove from Philadelphia to Chicago with my best friend, Brianna, because we had spring break, and we were just going for the weekend, and it was a pretty good weekend. We had a good time. A couple things happened along the way. On the way there, her phone died, just 100% broken, didn't work. On Saturday night, we were eating dinner outside, and she was leaning over the table to read her menu, and it's called the Windy City for a reason. And the ashes from the candle blew into her eye and burned off half of her eyebrow. And then on Monday morning, we got up at the crack of dawn. It was so early, we were so tired, and we walked with all of our possessions in the pouring rain, which was the icing on the cake, to her car, and her car wasn't there. Her car had been stolen in Chicago. So we went to the police station to file a police report, and I think that the police officers thought that we were insane because we couldn't stop laughing. And she kept saying over and over again, I'm missing my phone, my car, and half an eyebrow. And I kept saying over and over again, I'm getting my wisdom teeth removed tomorrow in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I have a flight that I've already paid for from Philadelphia to Raleigh, which means I have to be in Philadelphia by tonight, and I have no way of getting there. So I tell this story for a reason. This would be a really normal time for someone to freak out, to be upset and angry and frustrated and bitter. But both of us remained relatively calm, and I think that there's a rare ability in this. But it's a special ability as well. The ability to remain calm helps you to cultivate a relaxed atmosphere, one in which mistakes are okay. Bad things happen, but such is life, and you learn from these experiences, and life goes on. And when you have this ability, you're able to retain key employees, mentors, peers, and friends, because people are attracted to those who are able to hold on to a spirit of joy in stressful situations. So the best leaders, they understand this. They understand the fact that life goes on, and so they're able to stay calm in the moment. Number 4, seek transformational experiences. So there's a quote by Leonardo da Vinci, and it's one of my favorite quotes. And it says, "For once you have tasted flight, you will forever walk the earth with your eyes turned skyward. For there you have been, and there you will always long to return." So I very much believe this is true. Once you reach a certain level of activity, excitement, success, it's really difficult to go back to the way your life was before and be okay with it. But this all starts with pushing yourself out that door, engaging with people, expanding your horizons, and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone that first time. So when I was 18, I was living in Germany for the summer. I was teaching English to German school children, but I was living in a village with a host family. It was a very cloistered environment. And I decided on my last few days there that I wanted to go to Berlin. And neither of my host parents could go with me, so I decided I was going to go by myself. And I had no city experience, no foreign city experience, and I had basically never traveled by myself, but I decided I was going to do it anyway. And I was terrified. I was so scared. And I did so much research about all these horrible things that happen to people in cities. So I decided that I was going to go really prepared. And the entire time on the way there, while I was there, and on the way back, I held onto my bags really possessively and glared at everyone. And a really I know what you're thinking, and you can't have any of this. So looking back, this is horribly embarrassing because I was being completely irrational. But at the time, I was like, I'm a professional traveler. Look at me. So since this time, which the trip went really well, by the way, But I was really, really scared. But since that time, I've done a lot of independent traveling. It's become something that's a comfort and a competency that I have. So this last summer, Claudia asked me if I would travel independently to East Timor, which, if you don't know where that is, it's a very small country next to Indonesia. And I had to travel there and back by myself and then meet her there, but while I was there, work independently for a lot of the time. And she was considering asking other members of the organization, but she asked me instead because she knew I had done it before, and so I could do it again. I had the most amazing experience. I met the most wonderful people, and I got to see grassroots development on the ground in country, which is an experience I wouldn't trade for anything. And I got that because I had proven that I could do it, because I'd pushed myself out the door that first time and given myself a transformational experience, which had readied and developed me for further transformational experiences. Number 5, pursue your passion. So I am passionate about development work. I'm passionate about social enterprise, microfinancing, economics. I actually like reading the news. I also like following politics, traveling, planning, writing, organizing. These are things that I love doing. I'm currently applying for my first real job, and I am so excited. I'm so excited, it's ridiculous. And I have so many friends that are dragging their feet on the job application process because they don't know what it is that they want to do. And I'm one of those lucky few who knows exactly what I want to do, and I can't wait to get started. By finding something that you're passionate about and pursuing it, you're making what you do an extension of who you are. You know, your enthusiasm for the work compels you. You find it challenging, and yet you accept the challenge. And best of all, people want to help you. They want to catch on to that joy. They want to support you in what you do because they see how much you love it. And not only that, when you do something you're passionate about, it ensures that you will work hard every single day because you actually care, which ensures a long-lasting and sustainable impact of your work. And number 6, follow the law of attraction. So this is just the idea, which we've actually heard in a lot of the talks today, that like attracts like. So positive energy fosters positive energy, and negative energy fosters negative energy. It really just highlights the importance of visualization and positive thinking, because what you think about and what you focus on has a tendency to happen. But this works both ways. So I already mentioned that my mom's kind of a health nut. She was really, really sick as a kid, so she had a very stringent diet growing up. And she wanted my brother and I to be healthy, so we had a very stringent diet as well. Not as bad as hers, but comparatively speaking to my friends, it was pretty strict. And I would go to school, which I should mention that this is now something that I'm so appreciative of, because I have the knowledge, know-how, and experience to live well and have a healthy lifestyle. But when I was younger, I hated it. I was a child. I wanted candy. That's what kids want. So I'd go to school, and my friends would have packed lunches with Capri Sun, a fruit by the foot, an apple, and a sandwich, and I had a water bottle, salad, and bean sprouts. So I internalized the idea that something was wrong with me. Because if they were eating that, and I was eating like this, but they were fine, and I was also fine, that must mean that I am somehow weak, that I'm not well, I'm just not sick. But I always, for my entire life, felt like I was on the precipice of sickness. I was about to be sick. And this is something, it's so scary to me, the idea of sickness. And so I've run away from it and been avoiding it my entire life. And because of that, I've been thinking about it my entire life. So this is something that I only realized about a year ago when I was showing signs of hypochondria. So I was mildly thirsty. And I looked up my symptoms on WebMD. Never do that. Self-diagnosing will mess with your head. It's awful. But I decided that I had diabetes. I don't have diabetes, but that's what I decided. I had a slight headache. I don't get headaches. I looked at my symptoms, and I was convinced. I was like, I have a brain tumor. There's no way around the fact that I'm currently dying. So it got to the point where my friends and roommates were like, you need to stop. You need to calm down. You're perfectly healthy. This is ridiculous. So I really started to think, why? Why am I so fixated on the idea that at any moment I'm going to get some horrible disease? And I realized it's because I've been avoiding it. I've been thinking about it my entire life, and therefore making it something that is a priority rather than something I'm trying to get away from. So by focusing on the bad that I'm running away from rather than the good that I want, I was bringing it towards me, which is the opposite of what I wanted. So you'll notice those people that are trying to avoid getting in debt tend to get in debt because they think about it. Those people who say, I will never be like my parents, end up exactly like their parents. It's because they're thinking about it. So Positive thinking. If you believe that you, as an individual, and your group, your cause, your company, your foundation, your organization, whatever, deserves the best of the best, and you act on that belief, and you go forward pushing this positive energy outward, thinking, I will get the best, I deserve the best, I am the best, that positive energy will cycle back tenfold because your expectations have a lot of power. So I really believe that being a positive and hardworking individual who's doing something that you love, and I mean really love, will ensure a type of contagious enthusiasm and natural magnetism that will attract people to support you in what you do. Effective leadership is just as much about supporting those around you as it is the other way around. But remembering that and focusing on the positives and remaining true to who you are necessary steps on the way to successful leadership. Thank you.